That's a throw to Worthing. And that is it. Maidstone United 2, Worthing 0. It's Maidstone that progressed to the playoff semi-finals. They're going to play Eastbourne on Sunday. Another trip down to South Coast in Sussex. Worthing players slumped to the ground. And it's Maidstone fans that are jubilant.
Just trying to soak in the atmosphere.
Soak it in. Soak it in, Connor.
Yeah. I mean, I think the players knew it, obviously, when that second penalty went in. That I think it was over, but now it feels real. I mean, that extra time seemed to go on for an age. That was a long 8 minutes.
It was a long 8 minutes.
I think I actually timed it as more about 11 or 12, which is, I guess, fair enough because we had the penalty in between. But 2-0, 2 penalties, 2 Ben Brooks goals. Yeah, I think the second penalty was an incredible finish, right in the top corner. I don't think really could have done anything about either penalty. Worthing will be very disappointed with that. They definitely had chances. They came close on a couple of times. Certainly at that moment in the second half where Ben Brooks nearly cleared it off the line. But I don't think they've really had any form of probing impact on Maidstone tonight.
They didn't. I think it was a good all-round performance, wasn't it? You know, we said in the first half that they played with that intensity, that high press, and they were very deserving of that lead. Although it was a penalty, but they were very deserving of that lead, wasn't they? On balance of play and chances created. Yeah. And then the second half was a defensive performance, and we've said all along, all season, Maidstone are very hard to beat, and you getting that goal, you can see it. Temmie and Rees are just going to win every ball. They were just
20 plus clean sheets for a reason, right?
Exactly. That's the 24th clean sheet of the season. Yeah. I know we've played an extra game now in the league, but 24 clean sheets. That's 50% of your games are clean sheets.
Yeah.
And
it's incredible. I think it. I mean, Temmie and Greenwich, especially, they're very well matched against Babalola and Fowl. Some very good battles throughout the game, but obviously Greenwich and Aweka both coming off the better side on that, and it's a really good performance. And I'm really struggling to think of who my man of the match is going to be, because I could literally make a case for every person who stepped foot on that pitch in a Stones shirt tonight. I mean, I think I've got to give it to Ben Brooks now. Two penalties converted.
Yeah, I guess so.
Clean sheet.
Yeah, exactly. But again, there's so many sort of Tate trustees coming down and really put a shift in.
Well,
he did all the dirty stuff, didn't he? What he was talking about, yes, Jordan Hicks was driving us forward as well. He got that yellow card late on in the first half and picked up a little bit of an injury, so obviously George took him off and Bibish came on, and we know what Bibish is all about. But Tate Trustee was in there and he was just nipping away and just keeping it simple, breaking up the play, and I think we managed the game well. Today we said it in the first half. We was going down with little injuries, taking our time, and just sort of they're a high tempo. They like to play the ball from back to front really quickly, Worthing, and if you can slow the ball down and play at our pace. I think that's what we did perfectly tonight.
I absolutely agree. I mean, it's the dark arts, isn't it? And it's not something we see Maidstone do a lot, but when they need to and when it matters, they're very...
There's more than one way to win a game of football, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's about scoring more than the opposition. So yes, you can have a lot of the possession, and you can it was when you're on commentary and you're doing these games and you're saying the names, and the amount of times it's just going backwards and forwards along the back three. Maidstone will be happy with that all day long, because there's no penetrative pass in there.
Trouble them,
and then when you've got the running of Leahy, who really, he was so impressive in that, all the time he was on the pitch and closing down, and Blair as well, and you're forcing them to go long, and like we said, that's just meat and drink to Temmie and Rees and George Fowler. They're just going to head those balls all day long.
Yeah, and we're saying it during the commentary as well, but Worthing. I know they like to play it around the back, but they really do cause themselves some troubles, and that's essentially what led to the first penalty, where Charlie intercepted that pass, and it led to Leahy getting it in the box and getting tripped up. And there's a couple of times Hay nearly got caught out as well with the ball near enough on his goal line. So I just want to go back to Tate Trustee again, because funny enough, he was my man in the match right up until Ben Brooks then went and got another penalty, and to be fair, scored a really good penalty. But I thought Tate Trustee was excellent today. I thought they were all excellent, but Tate definitely was a bit of a shining star in that midfield, as was Higgs, obviously, until he came off, but I think that had to be the case because of his yellow card. But yeah, I mean, really promising signs. I think coming into this, I would have said Worthing might have been the favourites, purely because, one, they finished higher up than us. They were the league leaders for a good amount of time and really had the title in one hand with those games they had in hand and the points gap they had. And I think everyone, from a Worthing perspective, can't probably be anything else than disappointed in that.
Well, yeah, exactly. But, you know, that's not Maystone's issue, is it? No. You know what I mean? This is cup football. That's knockout football. It's do or die. And, you know, we said it before, and it can't be underestimated. You know, that run we had in the FA Cup last year to go out like George was outsmarted, like Kieran McKenna and Steve Evans, and, you know, all these sort of managers with reputations, and, you know, there's a good core of that team that are still around, you know, so they can pass on that experience to the young ones. I mean, let's not forget Riley Court came on at Ipswich, and, you know, he came on there and had a very good impact on the game. He won the second penalty, and, you know, he was really closing down, and, you know, he looked a real threat, and they couldn't. You know, he won a free kick down here as well, just before the penalty as well, where he was threatening to break away, which I think should have probably been a yellow card for Sponge, but he just sort of put his hand in his face, didn't he?
But I think Sponge did very well to not get cautioned at all in that game. But I think Riley Court had a fantastic impact. Obviously, he won the penalty. He pressed so much. And, you know, going back to, I think even before we came on air, we were watching the Maidstone players just as they arrive walk along the pitch, and you asked, you know, do they look confident? And I said, well, half of them have played in much bigger games than this, going back to Ipswich last year. So
exactly, and that's when that experience comes into it, you know. And we move on now. I said we're back down on Sunday to the Sussex coast, Eastbourne.
Had the Eastbourne manager sat right there.
Yeah, exactly. And why wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? And, it's given us good for fourth form, and Eastbourne are unbeaten at home all season, so. Like we say, records are there to be broken, aren't they? So
they are.
I think that's probably a good place to leave it.
I think so.
And as Fred would say, Maidstone are still massive and still marching on. And we'll see you on Sunday.
Yep.
It's
can't recall who's.
It's Sean Skerr and Darren on air.
Yeah.
Then so be sure to join them. I think it's a 3 o'clock kickoff, is it, on Saturday? So
I believe so.
They'll be on air from 20 to 3 to bring you all the action. And as always,
come on, you Stones!